Let me tell you something. The life we are living right now, the world we wake up to every day, a lot of it is nothing but illusion. It's the time you were a child. Someone was feeding you lines, telling you what to believe, what to value, what to chase, what success looks like, what failure feels like, and how far you're allowed to dream. You didn't write that script, but you've been acting it out as if it was truth. And you know deep down it doesn't feel right. This world keeps you busy, distracted, chasing after things that don't feed your soul. It throws lights, screens, and stories in front of your eyes until you forget to look at what's real. But you can't ignore the fact that something in you whispers, this can't be all there is. Think about it. The world says happiness comes from things you can buy. But the moment you get them, the satisfaction fades. The world says your worth depends on applause, likes, followers, money, titles. But none of that can touch your spirit. The world builds systems designed to keep you in a box. Systems that benefit when you stay silent, when you stay tired, when you stay distracted. And while you're looking over here, chasing the next shiny object, the real treasure, the real freedom, is waiting somewhere else. You see, the fake world survives because we accept the illusion. We play the game even when we know the rules are rigged. We settle for shadows when the light is right behind us. I want you to notice how carefully crafted this fake world is. You wake up and the news is ready to tell you what to fear. The commercials are ready to tell you what you lack. The job is ready to tell you what you're worth per hour. The crowd is ready to tell you who to be. And the sad part is, if you never stop to question it, you'll spend your entire life living in someone else's story. You'll be chasing dreams that aren't yours, fighting battles that were never meant for you, and carrying burdens that were handed to you by a system that profits from your confusion. That's why I say this world is fake. Not because it doesn't exist, but because it's designed to keep you from truly living. But here's the truth. The moment you see the illusion for what it is, the spell is broken. When you realize that the applause isn't everything, that the money isn't everything, that the image isn't everything, suddenly you are free to look deeper, free to ask yourself, what do I really value? What do I really believe? What do I really want my life to stand for? That's the start of the real world. The moment you dare to look past the performance and start living from your own center. The real world is not out there somewhere in the distance. It's right here, hidden beneath the noise, waiting for you to open your eyes and claim it. The problem is most people are comfortable in the show. They've gotten used to the stage lights, the masks, the scripts. They've convinced themselves it's easier to go along, easier to fit in, easier to keep playing a part they never chose. But easy is not the same as real, and comfort is not the same as truth. Sooner or later, the mask grows heavy and the soul begins to ache. That ache is the sign that something in you refuses to be fooled anymore. That ache is your spirit telling you there's more. I'm not here to tell you to hate the world, no. I'm here to tell you to see through it, to recognize that much of what you're told is not truth, it's distraction. Much of what you're chasing is not fulfillment, it's bait. And the moment you stop accepting the illusion as reality, you step into a power most people never taste. You stop being a puppet and start being the author. You stop being an actor in someone else's play and start being the director of your own. Understand this. You don't owe your life to a fake system. You don't have to measure your worth by numbers on a screen, by letters after your name, by possessions in your driveway. You are not here to play small just because the world told you to. You are here to wake up. You are here to live in truth. You are here to walk into the real world that's already calling you. A world that isn't built on fear or comparison, but on courage, purpose, and authenticity. So, open your eyes. See the illusion for what it is. Recognize the fake and dare to step beyond it. Because the moment you do, you'll realize the real world isn't coming one day. It's already here, and it's waiting on you. Do you want me to expand key point 2 in the exact same seamless Denzel Washington style and flow? About awakening begins with questions. You know what separates people who stay stuck in the fake world from the ones who wake up and step into the real. It's not luck, it's not money, it's not opportunity, it's questions. The courage to stop and ask why. Who said this is the way it has to be? Who decided this is success? Who told me I can't go further? Who told me this is all I'm worth? That's where awakening begins, not with answers, but with the boldness to question everything you've been taught to accept. See, questions are dangerous to the illusion, because the fake world survives only when people don't ask. It survives when you go along, when you nod your head, when you say, "That's just the way it is." But the moment you raise your hand, the moment you look at what you've been told and say, "Wait a minute," that's when the cracks start to show. Think about your own life. How many times have you followed the rules without ever questioning who made them? How many times have you bought into an idea of success that didn't match your soul, just because everyone else said that's what you're supposed to want? How many times have you silenced your own voice because you were afraid to go against the crowd? That's the power of questions. They wake you up. They shake you out of autopilot. They pull you out of the current that's been dragging you where you never chose to go. And once you start questioning, you can't go back. Once your eyes are open, you can't close them again. Don't underestimate the simplicity of a question. A question can break chains. A question can rewrite destiny. A question can save your life. Because questions force you to look at what you've been avoiding. They make you confront whether the life you're living is really yours or just a copy of somebody else's expectations. When you ask, "What do I believe?" instead of "What should I believe?" you begin to hear your own voice. When you ask, "What do I want?" instead of "What do they want me to want?" you begin to taste freedom. And when you ask, "What is real for me?" you step out of the fake and into the truth. The problem is, most people don't want to ask. They're afraid of the answers. They're afraid of what might happen if they realize they've been living a lie. They're afraid of what they might have to change, what they might have to let go, who they might disappoint. But let me tell you something, living blind is far scarier than asking hard questions. Because if you never ask, you will never know. And if you never know, you'll live your whole life in someone else's shadow, never discovering the light that was meant to shine through you. You see, questions are the beginning of faith in yourself. They are the proof that you are awake, that you are alive, that you are no longer satisfied with surface answers. And you don't have to have it all figured out. Nobody does. You don't need every answer on day one. All you need is the willingness to ask and the courage to keep searching. The real world doesn't open up to people who think they know it all. It opens up to the ones humble enough to admit they don't, and brave enough to keep digging until they find what's true. I want you to remember this. Every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution, every transformation in history started with a question. Somebody somewhere said, "Does it have to be this way? Can it be different? What if there's more?" That's the same spark inside you right now. Don't bury it, Don't silence it, feed it, let it grow, because those questions will carry you further than any approval, any paycheck, any applause ever could. And I'll tell you something else, when you start asking questions, don't expect everyone to cheer. Some people will resist. Some will mock you. Some will try to pull you back into the box they're still trapped in. But that's only because your courage to ask shines a light on their fear to do the same. Don't let that stop you. Keep asking, keep searching, keep challenging. The real world is waiting, but it only opens to those who are unafraid to knock. So I'm asking you right now, are you brave enough to question? Are you bold enough to stop living on autopilot and start examining everything you've been told? Because if you are, then you've already taken the first step. Awakening doesn't begin with the world changing around you. Awakening begins with a question rising inside you. And the moment you start asking, the fake world starts falling. Would you like me to move on and expand key point 3? Your inner world is the gateway. In the same deep, flowing Denzel Washington style. Let me share something with you, and I want you to let it sink in. The real world doesn't start outside of you. It starts inside. Too many of us are waiting for something external to shift, waiting for the system to change, waiting for other people to act differently, waiting for the world to finally line up the way we think it should. But if you're waiting on the outside to change before you find the real, you'll be waiting your whole life. The gateway is not out there. The gateway is here in your own inner world. That's where the truth lies. That's where your power rests. And that's where the real world begins to reveal itself. See, what you carry inside shapes everything you see outside. If you're filled with fear, everything you look at becomes a threat. If you're filled with doubt, every opportunity looks impossible. If you're filled with bitterness, every relationship feels heavy. But if you build peace inside, you start to see peace around you. If you build gratitude inside, you start to see abundance in places you never noticed. If you build courage inside, even the hardest mountain looks climbable. The fake world wants you to believe the opposite, that the outside determines the inside. It tells you happiness comes when you get the job, the house, the car, the recognition. It tells you your peace will come once people start treating you differently. But that's a trap, because the moment you tie your inner world to circumstances, you give up control. You're no longer the driver. You're just a passenger being tossed around by every storm. The truth is, you can't control the storm. You can't control people. You can't control every situation. But you can control your mind, your focus, your heart. And when the inner world is strong, when the inner world is rooted, when the inner world is aligned with truth, then no storm outside can sink you. You become steady in a world that thrives on shaking people up. That's the real freedom. That's when you begin to taste the real world that's been there all along. But here's the challenge. Most people never go inward. They're too busy running, chasing, scrolling, numbing. They're so caught up in the noise outside that they forget to listen to the voice inside. And the voice inside is quiet. It doesn't shout, it whispers. You need stillness to hear it. You need honesty to follow it. You need courage to live by it. That's why so many stay trapped in the fake world, because going inside means facing yourself, and that's the hardest thing to do. It's easier to blame the outside. It's easier to point fingers. It's easier to distract yourself than to sit in silence and ask, what's really going on in me? But until you do, the real world will feel far away. When you learn to master your inner world, you stop being at the mercy of circumstances. You begin to respond instead of react. You start to choose your path instead of being dragged by habits and programming. You become anchored in something bigger than the show, bigger than the illusion. That's what it means to live awake. Not that everything is perfect, not that life gets easy, but that no matter what's happening out there, you're steady in here. And from that place, you can move through the world with power, with clarity, with direction. The real world isn't about escaping this one. It's about seeing it through new eyes. And those eyes are formed inside of you. If you want to see truth, you've got to build truth inside. If you want to see love, you've got to grow love inside. If you want to see freedom, you've got to taste it first in your own soul. That's why I'm telling you, your inner world is the gateway. It's the door nobody else can open for you. It's the place nobody else can walk for you. You've got to do that work yourself, and it doesn't happen in a day. It's a practice. It's every time you choose to pause instead of explode. Every time you choose to forgive instead of carry the weight. Every time you choose to focus on what you do have instead of what you don't. Those small choices build the muscles of the inner world, and before you know it, you're standing stronger than you ever thought possible. So stop waiting on the outside to shift. Stop giving the fake world power over your spirit. Go inward, build there, strengthen there, align there. Because once your inner world is clear and unshakable, the real world outside will begin to reveal itself in ways you never imagined. And when that happens, you'll know without a doubt the real world has been inside you all along, waiting for you to open the door. Do you want me to go ahead and expand key point 4, reconnect to what's authentic, in the same style and flow? Let me tell you something. When the world feels fake, when everything around you feels like smoke and mirrors, the only way forward is to reconnect with what's real. And what's real is always authentic. It's not about the noise. It's not about the image. It's not about the masks that everybody wears trying to fit into a role. What's real is simple. It's grounded. It's pure. It's in the things that last when the lights go out and the crowd disappears. See, the fake world wants you to chase status, to get caught up in appearances, to measure your life by how many people approve of you. But authenticity isn't about how many people clap for you. It's about whether your soul claps for itself at the end of the day. When you strip everything away, when you take off the mask and step out of the role, the only thing left is who you truly are. And that's the hardest part for some people, because they've been pretending so long they've forgotten their own voice. They've been bending themselves to fit into expectations, to fit into a culture that thrives on comparison, that they no longer know where the pretending stops and the truth begins. But you can't live free until you find that truth. You can't touch the real world until you stand in your authenticity. Because authenticity is the bridge between your inner world and the life you live outside. Without it, you're just drifting, always trying to be what the world demands instead of who you really are. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. I guarantee it wasn't when you were pretending. It wasn't when you were performing for someone else's approval. It was when you were fully present, fully honest, fully yourself. Maybe it was laughing with someone you love. Maybe it was creating something straight from your heart. Maybe it was standing up for something you believed in, even when nobody stood with you. That's authenticity. That's the taste of the real world. And if you've felt it even once, you know how empty everything else is in comparison. The truth is, Reconnecting with what's authentic is not just about finding yourself. It's about reconnecting with people and the world around you in ways that matter. Relationships built on pretense don't last, but relationships built on honesty, on vulnerability, on being who you are without the mask, those are the ones that carry you through storm. The fake world thrives on shallow connections, but the real world grows in the soil of authenticity, where people see you as you are and love you anyway. And that's what makes life rich. You've got to go even deeper than people. You've got to reconnect with the natural world too. The fake world keeps you trapped in screens, in deadlines, in concrete and noise. But when was the last time you stood in silence under the sky and remembered that you are part of something so much bigger? When was the last time you touched the ground and realized it was holding you all along? When was the last time you looked at a tree, a river, a mountain, and saw it as a mirror of your own strength and stillness? That's authenticity too. Nature doesn't pretend. It doesn't apologize for being what it is. A tree doesn't wish it were a mountain. A river doesn't try to be a sky. They simply are what they were created to be, and so should you. Living authentic also means reconnecting with purpose. Not the purpose the world hands you, but the one your soul keeps whispering. You weren't made just to survive, to fit in, to check boxes. You were made to bring something unique, something only you can bring, and authenticity is how you find it. You can't live out your true purpose while you're trapped in pretending, while you're chasing applause. You've got to drop the act and listen to your spirit. That's when you'll discover not just what you're supposed to do, but who you're supposed to become. And I'll be real with you, authenticity costs something. It costs the approval of people who only liked your mask. It costs the comfort of blending in. It costs the illusion of safety that comes with following the crowd. But what you gain is priceless. You gain freedom. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to lay your head down at night knowing you live today as yourself, not as a shadow. And in a fake world, that's the most radical thing you can do. So if you want to find the real world, you've got to strip away the layers of performance and go back to what's authentic. Reconnect with your own voice. Reconnect with real relationships. Reconnect with nature. Reconnect with purpose. Because when you do, the fake world loses its grip, and what remains is a life that feels alive, a life that feels true, a life that feels your. And that, my friends, is the only life worth living. Do you want me to continue and expand Key Point 5, build resilience and discernment, in this same style and flow? Let me be straight with you. Stepping out of the fake world into the real one is not smooth. It's not easy, and it's not comfortable. It's going to shake you. It's going to test you. Because when you start living differently, when you start questioning, when you start standing in your truth, the world around you doesn't clap, it pushes back. People will doubt you, systems will resist you, situations will challenge you. That's why resilience and discernment are so important. Without them, you'll break under the weight of resistance, or worse, you'll slip back into the illusion just because it feels safer. But when you're resilient, you bend without breaking. When you have discernment, you see through the lies without getting fooled. Those two together are your armor in a world that thrives on knocking people off balance. Resilience is not about being tough all the time. It's about being able to rise when you fall. It's about knowing that setbacks don't define you, they refine you. The fake world will tell you failure is the end, but the real world knows failure is a teacher. Every time you get knocked down, you have a choice. Stay down and accept the story the world hands you, or get back up and write your own. Resilience is that quiet voice inside that says, "I'm not finished yet." And you need that voice because this journey is long. You will be tested. You will be misunderstood. You will be tempted to quit. But resilience is what keeps you moving when everything in you wants to stop. Discernment, though, is just as critical because this fake world is full of distractions. It's full of half-truths dressed up as wisdom. It's full of people selling you shortcuts, easy fixes, quick answers. And if you don't have discernment, you'll spend your life chasing shiny objects that lead you nowhere. Discernment means knowing how to filter the noise. It means asking, does this align with my truth? Does this path lead me closer to who I want to become? Or is it just another trap? Discernment is like vision. It allows you to see beyond the surface, to see what's real and what's just glitter. And believe me, everything that glitters is not gold. The challenge is that resilience and discernment are not gifts you're born with. They are muscles you build. And like any muscle, you build them through pressure, through practice, through consistency. You don't become resilient by reading about it. You become resilient by getting knocked down and deciding to stand up again. You don't become discerning by wishing for it. You become discerning by asking questions, by paying attention, by refusing to accept things at face value. Every challenge, every trial, every moment of doubt is training ground. And if you use it right, you grow stronger each time. Now, some people will try to convince you resilience is about never showing weakness, never showing fear. But that's not true. Real resilience is not about pretending you're invincible. It's about admitting the struggle, but refusing to be defined by it. It's about acknowledging the pain, but still choosing to rise. That's power. That's strength. And discernment is the same way. It doesn't mean you never get fooled. It means you learn, you adjust, you get sharper. You stop letting the same lies trick you twice. You stop letting the same distractions waste your time. You become wise without becoming bitter, cautious without becoming closed. When you put resilience and discernment together, you become unstoppable. Because no matter how hard the storm hits, you stand, and no matter how bright the illusion shines, you see through it. That combination makes you dangerous to a fake world, because you can't be easily broken, and you can't be easily fooled. And once you reach that place, you can walk forward with confidence, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger and wiser. So if you want to live in the real world, start building these muscles. Stop running from challenges. Start learning from them. Stop believing everything you see. Start questioning it. Take your hits. Take your lessons. Take your growth. Because this world is not going to hand you truth. It's going to hand you distractions. It's going to hand you obstacles. And your resilience and your discernment are the keys that keep you moving toward what's real. And when you have both, there's nothing left to fear, because you know whatever comes your way, you can rise and you can see clearly. That's when you stop just surviving and start truly living. And that's when the real world becomes yours. And the real world is not something you sit around and wait for. It's not some magical day in the future when everything suddenly changes and life finally feels right. The real world doesn't just arrive on its own. It's built, it's created, and every single one of us has a hand in shaping it. Too many people sit back, complaining about how fake everything is, how broken the systems are, how empty the culture feels, but they never stop to ask themselves, what am I doing to make something different? The truth is, the real world will never come if we keep waiting on someone else to bring it. It comes when you and I decide to live in a way that reflects truth, in a way that reflects courage, in a way that reflects love. It comes when we stop being passive observers and start being active creators. Every choice you make is either feeding the illusion or building the real. Every word you speak, every action you take, every dollar you spend, every relationship you nurture, all of it adds up. Don't underestimate your impact. The fake world wants you to believe your choices don't matter, that you're too small, too powerless, too insignificant to change anything. But history proves otherwise. Every great shift started with ordinary people making different choices. One act of courage sparks another. One honest voice inspires another. One small step multiplies until it becomes a movement. That's how the real world is born, not in one dramatic moment, but in countless everyday decisions made with integrity. So ask yourself, what are you creating with your life? Are you repeating the patterns of the fake world, chasing status, feeding fear, living for appearances? Or are you planting seeds of the real world, honesty, compassion, creativity, faith, resilience? You don't have to wait for a platform. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need a title. All you need is the willingness to live your truth out loud, right where you are. That's co-creation. That's how the real world breaks through. Maybe for you, it starts with how you show up in your family. Do you bring patience, or do you bring frustration? Maybe it's how you work. Are you giving just enough to get by, or are you putting your soul into it, knowing that excellence builds something lasting? Maybe it's how you treat strangers, how you lift others up when no one is watching, how you keep your word even when it costs you. These things may seem small, but they're not. They're the bricks that build a new foundation. The real world is not some far-off place waiting for you. It's being built right here, right now, through these choices. And let me tell you, creating the real world is not always glamorous. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's lonely, sometimes it feels like nothing is changing, but you can't measure the impact of every seed the moment you plant it. Seeds take time. Roots grow in silence before branches reach the sky. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean your effort is wasted. The real world requires patience. It requires faith. It requires people who are willing to keep sowing even when the harvest isn't visible yet. That's the work of co-creation, staying faithful in the small things, knowing they ripple out into something bigger than you. And don't forget, you don't build this world alone. None of us do. That's why community matters. That's why connection matters. When people with the same vision come together, the illusion doesn't stand a chance, because the fake world is built on division, but the real world is built on unity. Alone, you can light a candle. Together, we can start a fire that no darkness can put out. That's why you need to surround yourself with people who believe in truth, who believe in growth, who believe in living authentic. Iron sharpens iron, strength attracts strength, and together we lift each other higher. So stop waiting for the real world to just appear, because it's not something you stumble into, it's something you help create. It's in your hands, it's in your words, it's in your choices, it's in your courage. And every time you decide to live authentically, to act with integrity, to move with love, you're adding another piece to the foundation of the world that's coming. And one day, you'll look around and realize you're standing in it, not because it magically arrived, but because you and others like you dared to build it. And when that day comes, you'll know the real world didn't come to you. It came through you.